Tony, the song "The Clock Stops Ticking" is now being recorded over and over all around the world by different artists. Can you tell me what it is all about?
Right. So the clock stopped ticking. Nicky Hopkins had introduced me to Peter Sullivan, Sir George Martin's partner. They opened up an American company. They had Air. George had the Beatles. He had Engelbert. Peter had Engelbert. George Martin had Jerry Marsden. Let's get to Jerry Marsden, Peter and Gordon. But he was the head of part. They put him, after the Beatles. He made him the head of. EMI made him. So John Lord made him the head of EMI Parlophone. So by '65, Peter was the head of Decca. They were best friends. And Peter played in the Stones in '61, played drums for him. But anyways, at Decca, Peter had Johnny Kidd and the Pirates, but he had Tom Jones. It's not unusual to be, Lulu, and then he had, Engelbert. Please me. So anyway, so they had all these bands. They had all these great engineers, Ron Jacobs, John. They had Chris Thomas, who did Your Husband's Band, Dark Side of the Moon, INXS, Elton John, Paul McCartney, Queen, Roy Thomas Baker. Every big artist in London came out of Air London. So '65, they put the company together, and then he left Parlophone, and George Martin left Parlophone, and then he walked from Parlophone. Peter left from Decca. They walked with their artists and saying to Brian Epstein and Gordon Mills, if we walk, will your artists walk? They didn't want to use their producers in '65, so they put together Air in December of '65. The next day, I think they got £5 million each. The first record they released was a thing called Rubber Soul by the Beatles. We were at Peter's studio one day in '95 in London. The guys were asking him about Rubber Soul. No, they're asking about Rubber Soul, and he goes, "Oh my God!" It almost gave George Martin and me a heart attack because there was no singles on it. Even though Michelle, my baby, But so many years later, Air just expanded. They had every great engineer, and they sold 1 billion records. So they had America, Little River Band, Cheap Trick, INXS, Elton John, everybody. But it started with Lulu, Tom Jones, Peter had, and Tom Jones, and George had the Beatles, the Fabs. So they started a company in America called In Concert. Nicky Hopkins was a keyboard player from the Stones. I was working with him in '92, '93 when we all lived in Nashville. I was working at Warner Chappell, and he introduced me to Peter, came out and saw me, and he signed me on the spot. So, we got the most two iconic record producers of all time. And so suddenly, they paid me a lot of money to make recordings and write songs. It was an artist development and publishing deal for 5 years, from 1994 to 1999. Imagine walking out your door. I bought a big house on 18th Avenue, walked down to 18th and Grand, 3-story massive building with all the stuff they got from Air Montserrat, and basically got paid to write and record songs. One day early on, Peter goes, he was talking to George Martin. I think Jeff Emmer heard the line too. Jeff Emmer was another guy from Air, their engineer. And he said, play that line again. The clock stopped ticking and the cupboard's bare. There's no one there. Peter goes, he would listen to these roughs, the genius. They were always looking for songs. Like Michael Marshall, who always says Tony's looking for his next hit, President Sony. Peter Sullivan was always looking for the next hit, not looking backwards. So he said, and then played it for George. He said, out of 20 songs, he picked that song. Just like he did Pretty Penny and What Can I Do? But he said, I need you to go and refine that and bring it back to me, which I did. So I got that line. The clock stopped ticking. So, as you know, I worked with the guys. The guys in Badfinger were in my band straight up, Tom Evans and Mike Evans. I worked with Joey before that. So right after Tom Evans died, the day he hung himself, little Tommy, we're all, very distraught. And I got a knock at the door, reporter from yesterday. Mr. King, do you have any comment about your friend Tom Evans' death? And I said, yeah. That house is now bare. That house is now empty. That house is now empty. And that clock has stopped ticking. That's where that line came from. So I took that line from 1983 to 1994, 5, 6, 7, and then when I played it for Peter, he said, go refine it. And this is the song how it came out. It's me envisioning a woman who's lost her husband, and that's it comes from the 15th century, by the way. There's a 15th century Greek poet that also, I think a Scottish guy said the same thing. The clock has stopped ticking refers to loss of somebody or life, right? So I took that line and I'll play it for you right here. The clock stopped ticking and the cupboard's bare. There's no one there for her. Boom, 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 boom. She'll face tomorrow in an empty room where children used to play. Her heart is breaking, full of sadness. sadness, full of anger, full of pain. Going to piano. Come today, let Mother Mary shine a light on you. See you through the morning light again. She's come to pray that Father might lay his hands on you. See you through the morning light again. Well, the clock stopped ticking and the cup is bare. There's no one left for her. Bump, 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 bump. She'll face tomorrow in an empty room where children used to play. She knew the way. He'd leave that way. The clock stopped ticking and the cupboard's bare. There's no one there for her. She faced tomorrow filled with sorrow of a broken dream that's dead. Her heart is breaking, full of sadness, full of anger, full of dread. Come today, let Mother Mary shine a light on you. See you through the morning light again.
Could you tell me the inspiration for the song Crazy? That was your 5th consecutive hit off of your album called The Clock Stopped Ticking.
Well, that was a song that I'd taken into Peter Sullivan, and somebody in Air London, I think it might have been George Martin, but they loved the chord progression. And I remember because at that same time, Beatles Anthology was out, right? And so I'd heard a rough thing of a song called Andrew Birkin saying, "Dana," you know, it's like those. So I'd heard that, and I went back tonight and rewrote this verse, and I'll play it for you. And I goes, "Here we go, baby. It's you and me again. Very soon we got the answer. Then we fall in love again. You're like an unpainted picture hanging on my wall. Very soon we got the answer. Very soon we start to fall. And I go crazy. I go crazy. Here we go, baby. Just you and me again. Pretty soon we lost the answers. Then we fall in love again. You're like an unpainted picture hanging on my wall. Very soon we got the answers. Very soon we start to fall. And I go crazy. I go crazy without